it says streaming now, so that's good. Now, so there's some days I plan to work on something, especially in the portal, and I just spend 5 hours trying to get npm to work. Like, or there's some node module somewhere. I get weird errors, and I actually have a script now that cleans all the node modules in a subtree completely, and then reinstalls everything, and that fixes the problem every time. But I don't know why it happens. It's just like every 3 months, everything stops working for no reason, and I just have to reinstall all the node modules.
I sometimes I feel like it's probably because of probably newer, there's always an update on the npm package, and probably newer dependencies usually cause lagging of the old versions. That could that could actually also be the issue, because I notice it with Node. There are sometimes that I would use probably Node, because my go-to is Node 20 LTS. I would probably use Node 20 LTS to run a software like
Mm.
the previous week, and the next week it's not working. I have to switch to 22 or something else just for it to run. It's really tricky, and sometimes restarting your whole system just does the trick.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in my pre-streaming checklist. Just restart the computer first. It would have saved me 45 minutes of troubleshooting. But yeah, I think npm has or Node, because I'm using Yarn to manage the packages, but I think it has. There's some like there's an element of randomness in that implementation. I think, and it just breaks. We used to joke about Windows having a random error generator back in the days when it was always crashing. That for sure they built something in there to just like a chaos monkey, it just breaks. But I don't know. Probably drivers back then, and npm packages are like drivers from the 90s, completely unchecked. They will just break randomly, incompatibility issues and whatever.
Yeah, and there's too many moving parts these days, and
Yeah.
too many different dependencies, and two different operating systems, because the way it would work on Mac OS, for example, wouldn't be the same way to work on the Windows. Sometimes there's always this a bit of dependency lag. That's why again there are different scripts to install each of them. But I feel like there are too many moving parts, especially with Node, and you end up with errors sometimes.
Yeah.
It can be chaotic to fix.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the reality we have to live with as developers. Today we're going to hopefully not have npm problems, but we might. We might. So
Hopefully not.
yeah, we are going to do something that is extending the portal in Hantera. So apps can provide let's say server components, backend components, as we saw last time with the ingresses, and we set up a webhook that or an API that received a webhook rather, and we can also extend the portal, and we do that by in the app manifest. We have this extension here, and what this does is when we build an app using the CLI, it will trigger the portal extension of the app framework, basically. And a couple of things will happen. it will look for this folder portal here that it seeded for us when we created this app. Can I just ask you to mute your microphone when you're not talking? Because I'm hearing myself a little bit. It's a bit annoying.
Okay, sure.
All right, perfect. Now, so we have the portal folder here. And in that, we basically have what looks like almost a regular Vue application. It's a bit it's a slightly different because it's not an actual Vue app. It has this.
So can you zoom it up a bit? I think zoom in a bit.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So
this is better.
All right. So we have an index file in this portal extension package, and it exports a default function, and this is what gets picked up by the actual portal to initiate your app. So your app actually runs inside the portal app. It's not a sandboxed iframe or anything. You can do almost whatever you want within the portal, and the portal provides this interface here for you to kind of hook in your logic into the existing portal. And when you create a new app and you say, I'm going to make a portal extension, it will just create this file for you. And it's pretty simple. We register a component, and these components are not the same components we are talking about in the backend. It's not strictly a Vue component in the sense that you could just use this component anywhere. Basically what we're doing here is we are registering a component into a slot. And so the portal has a bunch of slots, we call them app slots, where you can inject your custom components into those slots. And it comes with, in the portal app package, we have let's see, order. Yeah, it comes with some standard defined slots like the order view slots. And these are slots that are available on the order view specifically. So if we wanted to add something, like in this case, we want to add a component to the delivery footer slot. That's what we are doing here. And if I'm if I start this, wait, what happened? Oh, okay, I have to log in. Give me a sec. All right, I'm gonna set this as a default now, so I don't forget to put. You can work with multiple tenants, and you just define the session with the -s flag. But since I now set this as the default tenant for my work here, I can just go app dev, and it does load in all the components and ingresses that we have here, mainly now just the webhook ingress, but it also starts up the portal dev server. And it would only do this, of course, if we have the portal extension enabled in the app. Otherwise, you could just drop this and you won't ever see it. And it gives a little hint here how to enable local development so that we can work with hot module replacement inside of the portal. And it's pretty easy. You just go here to the menu next to your name, enable local development. And we're going to have to allow it to do that. So now it's running the real portal in production, or I mean, in this demo tenant, but it's also side loading your portal extension from your local machine. And we can see this by going to an order. And here we have a little text. And if we go to this component, because this is just loading the component, my component, into the footer slot of the delivery. If I change this to something else, and I save the file, immediately you can see that it updates in the portal. So I can just keep typing here and saving new versions of this, and you can see that it is instantly reloading. And this saves you a lot of time. You don't have to build the app, you don't have to install it. You can just work away inside of the portal with your customizations. Now, as you can see here in the sample, we have some data binding, and every slot can request what's called a component context for that slot. So by passing in the slot instance, if you will, or identifier, you get a typed context. So you know if this component is mounted in this particular slot, you will have access to some context. In this case, you have a delivery, because this component will be mounted in every delivery. So if you have a multi-delivery order, for example, you will have different deliveries on every instance, obviously. And that's how we can access the delivery number and display that here, which is the same as the delivery number here. So that's very quickly like how you work with components. There are other things you can do to extend the portal. You can register what's called a view, and a view is a complete view. Every tab here that we have in the workspace is a view. And for those not familiar with the terminology, when I'm talking about Vue, the framework, we're talking about Vue.js, which sounds like Vue. But this is the framework that we're using in the portal. And when I'm talking about a view, as in a view that you are viewing, well, that's just a view, really, which is ultimately a Vue component. But we can register a view, and it asks for a relative path. It's relative in the sense of this app. So if you wanted to open this view from another component running outside of this app, you would have to namespace the path with the app ID, basically. But we can just have new file. And we will then test. So now we have a view. We'll have to, sorry about that. Yeah, so now we have, I forgot, I showed the wrong screen here, but we registered a view with the relative path test, meaning that the actual path for this view would be something like apps. Well, we're in the Crystallize app right now, so test. So if you wanted to open this view from anywhere in the portal, this is the URL basically for this particular view. Yeah, that's how we register the view so that it exists. But going back to the portal, as you can see, there's nothing, like we cannot, how do we open it? We can't. So we also have to, well, in this particular case, we could register nav hub section, and the ID can be whatever. Items, label my test view, action, which is a function. Here we would then open the app, and I think we get a workspace, or actually this would be a view manager, I think. Let's see what it doesn't say, but let's call it view context. So from here we can open any view in the portal, including the standard ones that are built into the portal. But here we have to provide the URL for that particular view that we want to open. And the easiest way to do that is to, because register view returns an object containing the full path, because we can't use the relative path here. And view options are context that we can pass on to the view, which we won't use in this case, but you can pass in, like let's say if you're opening an order view, you want to pass in the order ID. Otherwise, the order view doesn't know which order that it's supposed to show. Okay, we actually have to pass something, but that's it. And now, going back to the browser, we can now see that we have a test section here, my test view. And if we open that, we get the hello world component that we just defined here. And it is also automatically updating when you're saving it. So that's how you can work, create your own complete views, custom interfaces inside of the portal in a very quick way. Again, you can open any built-in view, but they are their URIs for those views are considered experimental at this time. But I think this is the path, so you can go query number, and I'm gonna copy the order number of one of these orders that I have in the system. And if I now click on this, I open an order view, but I got the URL actually wrong, and I don't remember by heart what the URI is for the actual order view. But we will eventually stabilize this, and we will publish a reference for all of the built-in views so that you can open them as well. But for now, this is mainly used for your own views, or if you have apps interacting with each other, they can open each other's views. But all of the views in the system are just there. And there's nothing special about the built-in views or whatever. And you can open them. There are also special components where you can embed views inside of other views. Let's say, for example, here in my compute component, there's something called an embedded view, and you could essentially render an order inside of the, well, in this case, the delivery footer, which would make no sense, but you can. And Yeah. So the whole view framework is very um, would say like it's very general in that sense. A view is just a path with a query string and a state, and the state can be used to for the view to store information about its state until the next time. So if, for example, we have this in this, we can view context, use context. I think it's actually we can just call it context and current view. This allows a view to access information about itself, and inside here you have you can navigate to a different route. But we also have state, and just to prove a point, we can have, so if state first load or open, let's say call it opened. If this is not set, then we will set it to date now, for example. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure we can just assume that we have a current view because we know that this is loading inside a view. And down here, not sure what it's complaining about, but let's then do this should for sure work. Oh, wait. Forgot to put the setup here to indicate to view that this is a composition component. That's why this didn't work. We can move it back to this. And so now if we go back to this view, we can see that it was open at 5.8.11. And if I reload the whole portal, well, it's so fast I can barely see it. It's still 58.11 when this was first opened. But if I close it and I open it again, I have to revert that change we did here back in. I'm not going to open up the order view. Now we can see it's 47.11, and it's going to stay like that until we close it and we open it again. So state is tied to, or you could think of it as state stored in this particular tab, basically, in your browser. It's not shared between browsers or anything, but if you want to support reloading the browser or closing down the portal and coming back tomorrow and staying where you were, you would use the view state for that. That's how, if you open up, actually this one doesn't quite support it, but if I open up this order, it's a separate view. Oh shit. Haven't enabled search on this demo tenant. Let's create a query here. Right here it is. So, if I select payments here, it should stay on payments even after I refresh the page. So this is the same thing that the order view is using to store state about the view itself. Even actually, never mind. Yeah. So that's a very quick, kind of shallow look at views. I also wanted to mention that we can no, those are the main ones. And now we're going to get to what we are actually going to do today, is registering a service. So we can inject components into existing UIs. We can build completely new UIs. But then there are cases where it's kind of like a global problem to solve in the portal. So whenever we are looking for a product, and this could be also in your custom apps, whenever we look for a product, we have to find it somewhere. And Hantera doesn't make any, doesn't have any opinions really where you're keeping your products. You can obviously create a product model inside of Hantera. You can use the existing SKU model to also model products, or you can fetch them from somewhere else externally, all completely. But we still want to have that same integrated, nice user experience, so that if I start typing something here, I want to get product suggestions without having to exactly type in a product number or something like that. And that we can do with services. Going back to the code, we first have to define the type of service. And one reason for that is, since we're using TypeScript here, TypeScript will also help us in ensuring that we are matching that interface. The service type is basically a contract between the portal and your app. So in the apps namespace, we have standard services, and we have a couple of different ones. We have a service that can be used to look up shipping products, which are essentially delivery methods or delivery options, whatever you want to call them. This service is used when you press this button, select shipping method. Right now we don't have any apps that provide any shipping methods, so that's why we don't get any option there. We have also, in order view, we have tab provider. This type of service allows us to extend the existing standard order view with additional tabs here. So you can add your own custom tabs. And the one we are going to use now is product service. And we have to provide an implementation for it. And
quick question. So when you said when you talked about the standard service, I was thinking the standard service is a kind of service like there are other ones that you can, call to do something. But it seems like the other services are like derived from the standard services. You just have to
exactly. Like the standard services are standard service contracts. So they are standard in the sense that they are built into the portal, because you can also define your own services if you want. So if you have an app that you want other people to be able to extend, you can create your own service contract. You can have other apps extending your app, if that makes sense. So that's why it's called standard services, but these are actually standard service contracts. If you want to call any of these services, if you want to say, okay, give me all the products from the product services that are implemented, you can do that too. But right now we are registering a service rather than calling it. So I don't think we have that. Now we don't have it on the portal context, but I think we can. Oh yes, if you want to call a service, for example, here in our test view, you would use, I think it's app context. Use app context, and then you can get services. And here you pass in the same type basically. So we have to import the apps namespace, apps, standard services, product service, for example. Now this will give us a list of all the product services that we can now call. So you would probably do kind of like a reduce maybe. Yeah, here we see the contract. A product service has to provide a lookup function, an order function, a search function. We'll go into more detail on what they are. But if you wanted to look up, let's say, a particular product, we can take one of these products that we are going to use. One sec. So let me take... let's say this one. And we're just gonna return that or the result. And I think we okay. Let's make this wait. And oh wait, I think we might have two. That's the search product, yes. We have to fight a little bit here with TypeScript. I don't know why it's complaining, to be honest, because this is a very long error message.
I think I do get your point though, so that we can circle back to our original.
Yeah.
But I think I do get your point. The point is that you can create other sub services you want in particular from the standard service itself. So instead of calling apps.standardservices.product services separately on the index.ts, you can create your own specialized sub services like the product service that you're trying to create at the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you have an app that provides a service contract, you could publish that as a separate NPM package or something that other apps could just import and use. That would be the most straightforward.
Yeah.
I'm going to simplify this because we can use this to try our implementation in a moment.
Okay. So like you can just call it like a mini app extension of within the services itself, within the standard service itself.
You mean this product search or?
Yeah, the product service itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you think about components in the context of registering a component, they extend the UI. Services extend the logic in the portal. So they're completely data based. They don't return any views or anything. They just return data. And I think it will make sense once we implement this, you will see it. So let's so when you're registering a service, it always, you register it as a factory function because you want to be able to access certain services inside the portal to implement your service. One of the most crucial things is to be able to make calls to the backend. So this allows you to fetch data from Hantera. If you were to just go here, fetch whatever Hantera, my tenant Hantera.cloud or whatever, first of all, it'd be hard-coded. So everybody would fetch it from your tenant and not their own. Secondly, it wouldn't be authenticated. The only way to make requests to the backend on behalf of the user is to go through what's called the backend service. Now, if you are inside a view, you can access the backend services by the composable use backend API, and this will give you the backend API. But you can't use composition inside a service, so here you get it from the service context instead. We also have something called processes, and this is used to create long-running background processes that will have a little overlay in the portal as they are running, or they can also display error, and they will just pop up in the corner of the portal saying, "Hey, something went wrong." And that's often used by services as well. Let's say if we were to now try to request the product from a backend and that backend is down, we want to be able to show an error to the user, and that's how we could do it. It's kind of like a standard error message hook. So it's complaining now, as you can see, because we are not returning a proper contract, and it's missing the implementation of these things. So let's say we implement the lookup first. Now it says, okay, a lookup must receive a product number. So let's go with that. And just as a sample, a proof of concept here or whatever, and we have to, these are all async too. Actually, we can just, I think we can do it like this. Or not. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. We'll just return a promise anyway. A finished one. I think we can do it like this. And now it should be complaining about the type of that, because we are not returning a search product. And the search product contains these things. So we have a product number, which, well, you would assume have the same product number as the lookup. So we're just going to pass that right back. Description, test, lookup. And now it complains that we are missing the order and the search lookup as well. So we'll just go in and stub those. Order, and this one gets an order. We don't actually have to provide a type because it will be inferred, I think. And this will, for now, just return an empty list. And search will also just return an empty list. And I think this is, yeah, now it's okay. So this is the minimum requirement for our little lookup or service, sorry. And as you can see here in our test view, we are calling all of the globally registered product service. We made a mistake because we're just rendering the promise. So let's fix that quickly. We are going to await this. And we're still getting, oh, yes, of course. There we go. So now we got this data, as you can see here, test lookup. It comes from our product service that we just registered here. But if anybody else, if a standard view were to do a product lookup, or if another app would do a product lookup, they would also access our registered service. Obviously, you can have multiple apps registering the same service, and then the result will just be merged. That's why when I said here, I want to get product service, I'm getting all of the services. And if I were to be a good boy, I would go through all of the services and do the lookup, or go through all of them and then break on the first one that actually returns the product. Because I could have multiple product sources and only one of them would contain this product for whatever reason. But just to prove a point, we take the first one here and return that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Basically, you put in the product you want, and you do the lookup to hit the very first one on the list of products, right? But I have a question though. If you did not want it to hit, if you did not want to search for a particular product via the code itself, and you wanted to search for it, I'm sure it's possible to extend probably a search tab within the product itself from this from the app, or from what do you call it, from the components, from the view components that would allow you to search for any product.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the search is for. Or did I misunderstand your question? Because lookup is only, so there are situations where you have, let's say, only an order number, but you also want to see the name of that product and possibly also an image and maybe a bunch of other fields that you can put here in the dynamic bag. This is not, lookup is actually not what we're using on the order page or on the order view. What's used here is the order function. And yeah, search is similar, but it's outside the context of an order. But we'll get to that one too.
Okay.
Now, obviously, we just hard-coded this. That doesn't make really much sense. Normally, you would go out and you would fetch this data from some external endpoint, right? And that's exactly what we are going to do now. And I haven't tested this, but the idea is that when someone puts in a product number, we are going to go into Crystallize and look up that product, get the name, the image, possibly some other fields, and then return them to the component that is doing the lookup. And we're going to have to just search for the API. And I think what we want to use is what's called a discovery API. Read performance, yeah. Browse search, filter facet. All right. Designed to replace the catalog API, search API to be deprecated. I see. Okay. Yeah, this sounds like what we want to use, and I guess we hit this endpoint with the GraphQL query, and I'm not sure how we actually do set up this, but we will just try this and see what we get back. Now, we have, so now we're not going to request Hantera. We are going to request Crystallize straight from within the app. So we can use the regular browser fetch implementation if we want. Because then we're not sending our authentication token anywhere else. So it's actually highly recommended. So we're gonna do a fetch to this, and I suppose it's post. It's usually post when you're doing GraphQL over HTTP. Doesn't quite say, but I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that's what it is. We can pass content type. Probably not necessary, but we're gonna want to have JSON back. Actually, this would be accept content type. But probably they are sending GraphQL in JSON. We don't know yet because it doesn't say there. But usually, when you're sending GraphQL over HTTP, you have a body that looks like this, and you JSON serialize it. So we can try that. And they had some what looked like a sample query. We'll just use that. We don't have to write it ourselves. And the reason why you have a query like this is because you can also pass in variables and stuff. But we will hard code this query for now. It's fine. And yeah, I guess we'll just await this. And does it end there? Okay. For now, we're just gonna output this response status and await response JSON to see if we are getting anything back. We might run into a couple of problems here. Potentially we can have course issues, cross-origin requests problems, in which case we will have to proxy this through Hantera, but let's hope we don't get that problem. And I'm just going to open up the console. We got a 404. Yes, because forgot to set the tenant. We got the tenant name here. I suppose this might be the tenant name from the browser URL. It looks like it follows the same. We got a 404 not found. There is no ignited tenant for Hantera demo. Okay, maybe it's without the at then. Oh yeah, okay. So I removed that at there in the beginning and it worked. So that was not supposed to go there. We got some data back. Products, hits. Oh, look at that. So no course issues. We could just query this straight up obviously we hard coded the tenant for now, but we can fix that later. It's not a big deal. And what we want to do in the lookup specifically, we want to pass along the product number, or the SKU as it's called in Crystallize, to get the specific product we actually want. So GraphQL is very well. You have introspection, so, and they publish that, so it should be fairly easy to figure out how to get the product we want. Path to search from, probably filters, if we want to filter by, but how? Product filters. Okay, is that okay, it wants a what product? ID, maybe. String filter, okay. Exist equals, sounds like what we want to do. String cannot represent a non-string value. Okay, equals. And then we'll just copy this and run it. We get no hits. I'm not sure if this is using, what tenant this is using though. So I'm just going to try and hard code this into our request here. See what happens. And we got exactly nothing back. Okay, if we remove this, do we get we do get the product. So this is somehow connected to my current session. That's nice. That will help us move faster. Probably the ID is something like this, like the internal system ID or something. But we want to look up by SKU, because that's the... So maybe there is something called SKU here. Oh, yeah, there was. Okay. Still nothing, though. Sofa, olive. Let's do this then. We can't get the SKU out. Or what? Oh. So these are product level data. But we want all of the variants or something. Variants SKU. Maybe we can just search on a term like this and get it. give us a bunch of other stuff that we don't want. The path to search from. It would make sense if it would just to be filtered like this, but variants, description. Aha. So now it worked. We must have gotten the wrong skew from this. This cannot be the correct skew. Cone table iron red square. Iron red. Square. Iron red small. I'm not familiar with this product catalog, obviously, but it would seem to me that it would make the most sense that this would be the square one, but somehow this one is called red small instead. Nevertheless, we can still use this because it works. So I'll just pass in this proper filter, and now interestingly, when we query for this, we filter by the product. We get the product, but we get all of the variants. So we're going to have to do some client-side filtering here to get the exact skew that we want, and the images that connects to that. So name, selection subfields, URL. I think that's it. These are the basic stuff we need. So we will have to do this query, and then we will have to traverse down this and find the one with the exact skew, and then pick the URL for the image and the name. And we probably want to combine this name with kind of this name, because this seems to be like a parent product container of some sort. So yeah, back to the code. We can move this over to our lookup, and now we should get that whole structure in the data. Browse product hits nothing. Okay. So then maybe when we are querying here in the documentation, we are not actually querying this tenant, because there's no reference to it, which might indicate why we get different products. This one is called Palace Cone Table something. We don't actually have that. There it is. Let's see, but nothing. I removed the filter now, just to get all of the products. And then we were gonna steal one of the SKUs from here. So we'll take one of these instead. So now let's see then. And we get nothing back. What is going on? This is there something like we have to publish these or something? No, we'll get them if we don't filter by them. Very strange. Do you have any ideas?
Not quite. I've been looking at it, but if the products are available on the tenant itself, like on Crystallize tenant itself, and you can get everything, probably it might not be, I don't know, possible to filter by SKU. Probably that's not.
But it works with our sample data here in the docs. Which bothers me a bit that we are not seeing the same discovery. Let's just double check the payload. So it looks kind of okay. Okay. Ultimately, we're going to implement search. So let's see if we can search for something then. Term. What if I search for this? Do we get something? Yes, we do. So let's try that in here. Well, at least we got products. And if we add, let's say, table to it to narrow it down, do we get, we still get the hits. Why do we get a hit on a sofa when we search for a table? That it might be a union search, so that if any of these words match the product, we will receive them, and then they might be doing like a full text relevant ordering. We'll see. If I only search for table, I should not get a sofa. Yeah, then I get only table. So they are doing a union search, probably, or they might support something like this. So it's like an exact match of both words. But we'll see. So this should only return one. Now we got an error instead. Syntax error. Found name table. What? Expected. Okay. Don't know what that means. But we have probably no option to do intersected search, which is usually more efficient when you're doing product lookup in, let's say, when you want to add something to an order, you will go, like maybe, you write table and then you add something, and for every word you add, you get a more narrower search. But if this API is built for e-commerce, for serving websites, you can also argue for the opposite, where it says anything with a table and anything with this brand name inside of it will be a result, and then we will just order it based on how many hits we got. Like a classic full text relevance algorithm. And so, we might have to live with this. There might be some syntax we can use here that we haven't found yet in the docs to make our searches more accurate. But for the sake of this this prototype, it really doesn't matter that much. So for SKU lookup, we can try to search for a SKU. That SKU that we had before. And see if we get one hit or nothing. Or many things, apparently. Okay, so probably what they're doing is they're normalizing our input, basically looking for something that looks like this, which will also hit everything. So filtering doesn't work, then that means, this lookup is dead in the water. Probably we're doing something wrong, because the filters should work, I think. Maybe there's some configuration in Crystallize we have to do. We can ask them, but for now, let's move on to the next type of lookup that we were actually supposed to implement. So for now, this lookup is just gonna return our hard-coded test data. We want to implement order, and you might look at order and search and be like, okay, but what are we looking up orders here? No, we're actually looking up a product in the context of an order, while search is just arbitrarily giving me products back. Search is for situations where a user in the portal might want to look up products. Let's say they are setting a campaign or something, and they want to be like, okay, give me products that match this term, and then they will just get a couple of products, and they will say, okay, this campaign will be for this and this and this product, for example. You could do that. And we won't necessarily save more information than just the product number, but we want to still have the image and the name so that we can display it better for the user that wants to find the proper product to use in their in their campaign. This is used also in like one of our official apps in claims and returns. So when you're putting up a claim, for example, that's not necessarily connected to a product, an order. A claim regarding a specific product is related to that product. We might not even know which order it's supposed to connect to yet. So you could use search in those situations as well. Very niche, but So a lot of times order and search could look almost identical, but things that you want to adjust is language. For example, when you're looking up products for a specific order, you might want to provide the product name in the locale of the order rather than the user. When you're searching for products, you're searching on behalf of the user, but when you're searching for a product to add to an order, you're searching on behalf of adding that to the order, and you might want to use the customer's locale or language for the name of the product. But I think they actually did have name localized. We will see. I saw something about it in the GraphQL there. For now, we're just gonna take the phrase and inject it here. And then from this, we are going to try to extract all of the SKUs because we want to add the SKU itself to the order. So we have to, for every variant, build up this search product that we are supposed to get as a response. So the first thing we want to check is probably that the response is okay. And if it's not, we can use the service context, processes, error, and here we could potentially parse the response, whatever. Right now I'm just gonna say something went wrong. And basically return nothing. An empty list. But if it is okay, we are going to extract the hits from it. So response JSON, and it's browse product hits. Browse product hits. This should give us only the hits. We can double check. And so if we go to a product and we get cannot read properties of undefined, reading product. Oh yes, because I think it's data first, right? It's always data in response to GraphQL. GraphQL over HTTP, you generally have a data and an errors root field. Yeah, there we go. So as soon as I type the full word here, we got some hits back that match it. If I search a table, we got 2 tables. So far so good. Now we just have to generate search responses for this. And we're going to, I think it might be a lot easier if we just type this first. So they have a name, which is a string, title, which seems to be the same thing, so we can drop that. We don't actually need it. And it also has variants, which, oh wait, I'm writing Filtera code now. This is TypeScript. This is how we define a list. And variants have, let's say they have SKU and first image, which have an URL, and name, which actually seems to be full name in our data sample. So I don't think we need this name actually. That helps a bit. I'm not really taking too much care here. Of course, I guess some of these can be null sometimes. Let's say it didn't have a first image, but I'm not going to write defensive code now because it's pretty boring to look at. Now we want to do a flat map because we want to get all the variants. And then each variant, we just simply map it to a search product. Apps, standard service search product. And in Hantera terminology, description is the variant name. Product number would be the SKU. And image is not image. Oh, wait. Yeah, so image in this case would be first image URL. And we don't really have any other values right now. I just realized I might be running an older version. Oh, yes. We have a pretty old version here of Portal app. Since we are actually on a development version, I'm gonna update this because there's an important thing that was just recently added, and that's the ability to set the SKU map as well. Portal. Let's update this. Now we should have, where were we here? Well, we should be able to pass SKUs, which is essentially a map of SKU to a number. And how do you even do that in JavaScript? Well, I know how to do it if we go like this. So, because it's a record, let's say const SKUs. Then SKUs or SKU equals we have to add decimal JS because that's what we are using for numbers in the portal. Of course. Add. Oops, that was not meant to be. Delete that one. I wanted to restart it. Okay, now we should be able to import decimal, and then we'll just set this to 1, and we add it to our search product. For some reason, it doesn't contain SKUs, but I have a feeling that it might be my TypeScript extension or something that didn't reload the types when we updated it. Okay. Let's just do a quick check on this before we pass it back. So table. We got a lot of tables. They look good. Description, image. Right. Okay, so I think we can just return this now. I just return the result instead of the empty promise. Empty promises are not good for anyone. And now if I type table, I get this nice drop down with all the products. We are missing some things here like price, which ultimately should probably be fetched from Crystallize as well. We get the images, we get the SKU and the name, and hopefully we also get the SKUs. But we're not doing stock reservation in this test environment anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I see what the problem is now. I was a bit quick. I defined this as search product, but order product is, of course, what we want to return. And order product contains the SKUs. It also contains the unit price and an optional tax factor. So that's why I was like, where are they not here? So unit price, let's see if we can get the price from we have something called a sales price, maybe. Yeah. We can add that to here. And it seems to be a number. And this is supposed to be a decimal, so sales price. Let's see if with that gave us something. Reading browse. Seems like we got some error back. Message. Cannot query field. Sales price. For sure that's some custom field then. I wonder if there is like GraphQL Explorer. Oh, look at this. Here we can probably explore our tenant exactly and see what we have. What? Why wouldn't I be able to browse? What do we have here? Grid, images, catalog. So we're not using the discovery API here. Where is my query? Oh, it's here. Then, fortunately, this wasn't of much use. Might be some setting somewhere, but I think this is using maybe what they call the core API or something like that. Oh, we can do this. Maybe I don't have that here. Let's go Altair GraphQL client Chrome. We'll just install our own GraphQL extension, and then we'll point this to the discovery API, and then we'll use introspection, and we should be able to get everything. Sign into Chrome. I don't care. Give me the extension. Here it is. So I'm going to point this to the discovery refresh. Let's now see if we can. Yeah. Now let's see what we have here. Default price. Default price for everyone. I don't know enough about Crystallize to know which one we should pick. So I'm just going to go with default price for now. Here, this is where having access to the order is the important thing. So normally you might have different prices for different customers, and you can get the customer from the order, and then when you're requesting the price and the product, you can get the price that is applicable to this particular order. And you might have other things that vary or change the price somehow. Maybe you can pass a voucher code along with, it depends on your backend, obviously, where you're getting the products from. But I'm sure there are a bunch of parameters that we can pass in here to get the proper name, which is we have the order locale where we can get the correct language from. We also have obviously the order customer. We have the country, the channel, everything that you might need to determine the price of the product can be added to this call, allowing you to get a very specific, proper price. For now, again, I don't know enough about Crystallize to actually know what to pick. So let's just pick the default price. We go table. We got nothing again. Invalid argument undefined. Oh yes, of course. We have to also update the type and the mapping. Now table, and we get prices. And there might be some kind of tax, but no. So in this case, we can't get the tax from Crystallize. Maybe they have something like tax classes or whatever, but we can set it here, and you would try to get it from somewhere in Hantera. Let's say you could get it based on the country, but most of the times you just leave this empty, and you will use Hantera's built-in rules to calculate the tax properly anyway. So yeah, for most product lookups, especially when the source doesn't actually have support for it, then we'll just leave it out and have Hantera calculate the tax anyway based on your tax rules, basically, in Hantera. So I guess that's it, basically. We can also search. We can change this to a different product. Obviously, we want to, the customer wanted a different color or something. We can select a different color and save. And we can add. I wonder how their search is. If I search red here, will I get... no, it doesn't actually order very well. There might be a way to do that, but I don't know. I don't know Crystallize well enough. So that's how you do simple product lookup without having to move any product information into Hantera. You'll just look it up in real time whenever someone needs a product. And if we could get the filters to work, we could implement the lookup, and the search is essentially a copy of the order, except we are not passing along any order information or doing anything. We don't actually care about setting the SKUs, setting the unit price. We just want description, product number, and image, and that's it. So I can, just for the sake of the recording, make this a little bigger so you can actually see better. But yeah, that's it. I think there was something I wanted to touch on, but now I completely forgot. Oh yes, one last thing. We hard-coded the Crystallize endpoint here, and you'd probably want to have this looked up from some setting somewhere, and you can access the registry from within a portal app. So We could put this into, let's say, the app settings, and then just load it from there. So that obviously you would just go into the app settings of Crystallize, and you'd have like a Crystallize tenant here that you could set, and it would be picked up by the portal and hopefully call the correct Crystallize tenant. They recommended some kind of authorization. I don't know how to configure that, so, but yeah, might be here. I don't know. API access, search and discovery. Oh, okay. So you would set that up here, and again, if you don't want to expose, let's say we were to use this and a token, and you don't want to expose this token to the portal client, you could obviously proxy these requests through Hantera Ingress and apply the authentication there. Then you have Hantera authentication from the portal to the Hantera core, and then authenticated requests from Hantera core over to Crystallize. I would say that's probably recommended for a production setup, but for this proof of concept, it's not. We can just call Crystallize directly, and it's quite nice to see that. Yeah, you can actually do that. It doesn't have to be a week-long project to just get some basic information into the portal. Anything that you're thinking about, Goodness?
I think it would be. I would be particular about. I guess my questions would be around the featuring itself, but it's something that I think I could uh, play around with a bit and see if that can be implemented. I'm sure it can be because whilst it's okay searching generically via the product name, I think specifying, I don't know, via variants or something, probably searching the SKU using variants. I don't know. I feel like it could be that to search for a particular product, you might not have to hit the product, like search for the product directly. You might have to search through a variant or through variants to get, like, to use the SKU number to search through variants to get the products that you are looking for. But
Yeah, it's possible that we're completely botching their API, using it in the wrong way.
yeah,
If they don't have what I call intersection search, basically, you could also apply that client side. So we could say we could break the phrases part into words, and then we can say only actually take the variance into account that contains all of these words. So that would allow you to search for red table and only get the red tables and not the olive green and the yellow ones and whatever. We could do that on the consuming side, but yeah, preferably it would be possible to send in something with the request. But we'll, I think we'll have to check with Crystallize guys how they would
yeah, to
recommend
confirm.
us
Yeah.
doing it. All right. Well, I think that covers what we were supposed to talk about. So I'm gonna stop the stream right now.
Okay.
And yeah, I hope this was useful.